What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the RPS Swing for the Fences show. Guys, another big day yesterday in MLB. Awesome to have these sports back. And that's what happens when you get the timing mixed up. You have your YouTube live chat on, and you can hear my voice again. But anyways, still getting the kinks out here. But good to have MLB back. It's been a fun couple days playing baseball, and can't wait for today. I've got another big slate on Draftkings and FanDuel. For some reason, FanDuel wanted to add a few later games to make us sweat out those lineups as well. But Tony, what's going on, brother? Good to have you back. And what are we going to do without these lineups, man? It's going to be tough to talk here about these teams.
Yeah, baseball's always interesting because there's always the lineups that come out, and then you see guys that you didn't expect to be in a certain spot that come out and changes your entire thoughts of the slate. I mean, when Peraza comes out in the one hole, 2,700 on DraftKings, Shogo from the Reds, 2K in the six hole in a good spot. I mean, these guys just change the entire slate when you see them come in. And, yeah, I mean, we still don't have some early lineups even. And as they come, I mean, I'm sure more on a Sunday, more people are going to pop up that are in a really good spot that become really good plays. And like always, we need to adjust on the fly. We still got, 2 hours before tip-off. So it's been fun, though. We've kind of been all over it the first 2 days. No huge hits, but I feel like we've been right there, and the offense kind of has the stacks at least have struggled a little bit, but the pitching's been good. We've been all over it. I think we might get a little something going today.
Yeah, for sure. And we had to bring back the combo with Hoop. Good to have you back. Show yesterday was great, so we had to run it back again.
Yeah, run it back, no doubt.
How'd your winner do yesterday, Hoop?
Which one? The PGA?
No, the baseball one. How did it do? Your game you touted?
What are you talking about?
The Reds minus 240.
It wasn't official on the site, right? It didn't make it on the site.
Just checking. I was seeing how they did.
Yeah, no, it's not official unless it goes on the sheet, and it wasn't on the sheet. So we're.
Tony, you can't even let the guy talk for 2
seconds
before he has to butt in. Really?
Coming straight at me. Never made it on the sheet. Not official. Still.
He was talking about my workbench yesterday, and I went 2-0. Is all I know.
Well, I mean, sorry, you got a double-sided workbench according to the chat. I mean, that was a great line from I can't remember the guy's name, but
he's in there talking about it again. You got him excited, Jeremy Jeffries.
That reminds me, though, Big T going 2-0. Don't forget, guys, Rumpure Bet site is live, so make sure you go check them out. I know they had a big day yesterday with baseball. I know Tony went 2-0. I think they had a few plays that worked out for baseball, and then MMA they just crushed again. So just make sure you get over there and check that site out. But Hoop, I guess I'll allow you to talk now.
Thanks, I appreciate it. But yeah, we don't have all the lineups out. They'll start sprinkling in here, I think. I mean, the teams have done a pretty good job of getting the lineups out ahead of time for the most part. Got a few teams that are always a little bit behind the rest. But we'll talk pitchers first, and then you kind of go. I think the format we did yesterday was solid game by game, so we'll stick with that, and we'll kind of go to the games that have the lineups out, so we can talk about it. But a lot of good offensive spots again. I mean, these totals are massive, and you got the Wrigley wind, hot and humid there, wind blowing out around 10 miles an hour. Typically 10 miles an hour, not a big deal, but when you're in Wrigley Field, that is a pretty big deal. That totals up to 11.5. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets a little higher than that as well. So, I mean, a ton of big offensive spots, and there's some good pitching as well. So it makes it fun for baseball when you can lock in some solid pitching and some good offenses that are projected to score a lot of runs.
Yeah, for sure. The Cubs game is definitely a game that I'm pretty big on. And it will be interesting, too, with, we got the Red Sox back, and they disappointed a lot of people yesterday. But I assume people are going to go back to them. They're going to be the most popular. But, where does that game slide in? Is that the next most popular stack, the Cubs and the Brewers? Or is there another game like you talked about? There's a few games that are pretty interesting, so we'll get to them, but let's start out with the pitching, guys. And we'll start at the top and kind of work our way down like we've done. So we got Greinke at 10-9, Blake Snell at 10-7, Patrick Corbin 10-4, Corey Kluber 10-3, Trevor Bauer at 10-1. Tony, is this another slate where you're just going to nix every single person I just said and start talking about someone else I haven't talked about yet?
Standard Big T move.
I mean, all I do the last 2 days is just give winning pitchers. I mean, I give these guys in Texas, there's been like 5 total runs in 2 days. I mean, it's what I do. But today I can't do that for you. I got to stay up top. We got Kluber in that same spot. I like him a decent amount. Again, I like that stadium. I'm going to take advantage of it for now. I mean, you watch it, the ball just doesn't travel. It just doesn't. It's going to be a pitcher's park. I do like the Rockies a little bit better against righties, so he's not going to be my top guy because my top guy is for sure going to be Trevor Bauer against Detroit. He's run his mouth a bunch. He loves running his mouth. He's ready to go. Going against Detroit. The Reds lost yesterday. Everything kind of lines up for him. He's going to be very popular, obviously, because, I mean, he's the best on the slate. He has the highest upside on the slate. But that being said, sometimes you got to eat the chalk, and we can play some different spots in the batter side of things. I don't really see a way to get away from Trevor Bauer, especially on a 2-pitcher site like Draftkings. I'm more than likely just going to lock him in and just play him and then find a SP2 to go with him. He's just clearly the best pitcher to me today.
Yeah. What are you thinking? Do you agree with Tony that Trevor Bauer is the clear-cut guy at the top, or do you have a different take about someone else?
No, I mean, it always pains me to agree with Big T right out of the gates, but man, I think he's the best on the board. The price is not prohibitive at all, 10.1K. You can fit him in and also fit in some solid bets. I mean, I don't think it's out of the question to go double 2 guys up top here on DK. I mean, you can make it happen today. We got some really cheap hitters in good spots, in good lineups today that we'll talk about throughout the show. So for me, it's Bauer and then Kluber. Those are probably the only 2 I'm playing up here. Zach Greinke, obviously a good spot here at home against the Mariners, but I don't know. I just don't see the upside with him, especially at the 10-9. I'd much rather play Bauer or Kluber. So those are my 2 favorites.
Yeah, well, as my job, I will find something for you and Big T to disagree on because that will make this show even better. So I'm going to make sure I do that. But guys, real quick, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up. It helps us pump out this free content for you. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe. But hit that thumbs up because today I'm making Big T give out more RPS swag if we can get to a reasonable thumbs up.
I mean, if we got 150 yesterday, we can't go less than that. We got to stay at 150.
All right, well there it is. So I mean
we got
guys,
high expectations.
We need to get 150.
We can give out a Rump Your Bet shirt too. Dunkel said he said he'll from the Dunkel factory or whatever he said he's going to ship it from. So we got an extra. We'll give out one of those today as well.
Perfect. There you go. So we got some Pure Sports swag and some Run Pure Bet swag coming, but make sure you hit that thumbs up. All right, guys, let's bring it down to the 9K and we'll bring in the 8K range too, because we got Dakota Hudson at 9.3, Kenan Maeda at 9K, Carlos Carrasco at 8,600, Freddie Peralta 8,200, Lopez at 8,100, and Keller at 8K. Who is the guy that we're looking at here, Tony? Is there one clear above the rest, or do you like a few guys in this range?
Yeah, I mean, I think Carrasco is for sure going to be the chalk. He's going against Kansas City, who sucks, obviously. Everything you read about him, he looks good. I mean, everything – he checks all the boxes. He's cheap. For sure, the 2 guys everyone's going to play today are Bauer and Carrasco together and then figure it out. I mean, it's the clear chalk. So, it's chalk for a reason. Really good plays. I can't argue with either one of them. One guy that is going to be low owned that I really like is this Mitch Keller. I remember from last year having some nasty stuff a few times. Young guy. The ownership right now that I see is like 5%, 6% range, which is kind of what I want when I'm going to pivot off one of these chalk guys. And, I mean, he is risky. He was wild at times last year. But, again, it's baseball. I've seen strikeout upside with him at times. And I don't hate the idea of him. Looking at the rest of these guys, like you can't play Dakota Hudson. I'm not playing Kenta Maeda in that fan box for the White Sox. I mean, there's going to be offense again there. Freddie Peralta at the Wrigley game. You got Ronaldo in the other fan box game. All those other guys are immediate exile for me. But Mitch Keller, definitely him. And then I guess that's the end of that range. And I can't imagine Hoop likes any of those guys either besides the Carrasco.
Yeah, I do like the Mitch Keller call. I mean, Dakota Hudson, if you just want a pitcher who's going to get a bunch of ground balls and some outs.
I don't even think he's going to have a pitch count, though, either from what I've looked at. Like, I think there's no way you can play him.
Yeah, no, not at 9.3. If he was like 6K, I would think it, but no. Who do you agree on any of Tony's takes, or are you disagreeing with him? And you just like Carlos Carrasco, and pretty much that's it.
Yeah, gotta ride the big T train here and stick with Carrasco. I mean, there's just nothing else in this range for me. I'm only playing probably 4 pitchers, maybe 5. The 2 guys we talked about up top and Carrasco so far. Like I just can't imagine playing anyone else. And the one thing about Carrasco as well, like he has blow up potential. Like there's on a lot of occasion he goes out there and gets absolutely rocked in that first inning. So yeah, I feel comfortable playing him, but I don't think he's like a lock or anything. He's going to be the highest owned pitcher most likely on this slate. I'm fine building teams without him, but yeah, I'll definitely have some exposure here.
Yeah. All right. I do like the Mitch Keller call. But besides him and Carrasco, I think those are the only 2. I'm definitely not on Peralta or Lopez either. So, all right, let's bring it down to these cheaper pitchers. I know there's one guy that I'm going to like at 6,900. That's Velasquez. But we also got Turnbull for Detroit. Lucchesi for New York. Ryan Weber for Boston, Wade LeBlanc, Jose Urena, Kikuchi, Chatwood. Like in this range, Tony, is there anyone besides Velasquez that you're looking at? Is there any like low owned, cheap guy that you like?
Yeah, so it's definitely Velasquez. I mean, he's going to get some ownership against Miami, pretty cheap, 6,900. I think he definitely needs to be in the player pool. And I mean, I go all the way down. And again, I know I keep talking about Texas, but you got Kyle Freeland at Texas. Texas has always struggled more with lefties too. He's 4,700 on DraftKings. I mean, you just don't need that much for that price. Like, I don't love his strikeout stuff, but if he gets you like 14 or 15 points at 4,700, and you can fit in some big bats that other people aren't going to get, I will definitely have some Kyle Freeland just because of the price point. And I do think his floor is pretty high against Texas. So, yeah, for me in the cheap range, just Velasquez and Kyle Freeland.
Yeah, for sure. Texas power bats, most of them are left-handed, so that makes a lot of sense. What about you? What do you like in this range?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear for me a pitcher today. It's like, Bauer, Kluber, Carrasco, Vasquez, and Freeland, like Tony said. I mean, 4.7K in this park that is going to suppress the runs compared to the old stadium. They have lefties in this lineup, quite a few. I mean, Chu, Gallo, Odor, guys that, don't hit left-handed pitching all that well. And when you're paying 4.7K for a pitcher, you're just hoping he survives, like Tony said. And if he can go the 5 or 6 innings, pick up a few strikeouts, and not get shelled, like that's all you need from a guy in this range at like 4.7K. It's just super, super cheap. So like him, Vasquez, and that's about it.
Yeah. All right. Is there anyone else we didn't touch on at pitcher? I think we covered everyone pretty much that we liked. So if that's the case, I guess we'll move on to the games. Let's go kind of game by game. We'll talk about the hitters, from each game. So we'll start with the Yankees versus the Nationals. Big T, we'll start with you. Anyone? We just got a Yankees lineup too. No Gary Sanchez in the lineup, it looks like. I'll kind of skim this, but Big T, anyone you like from this game?
Yeah, just kind of eyeballing it. I mean, we have some really good stacks today when we get down the list to where the Yankees should always be in play, but against a guy like Patrick Corbin, I don't necessarily want to go crazy with him. I mean, you look at the bottom of the lineup too; they got some scrubs like Higashi and Tauchman and these type of guys. I don't know. I don't know if DJ LeMahieu played yesterday, but he didn't play opening day. I don't know. Like, I don't need to go here, I guess, when I like a few other stacks, kind of like we talked about yesterday, where I just don't want to play everyone. So I'm going to take some stands. I think you could play the Yankees and Washington for that matter, but they're definitely not going to be some of my favorites. Just a throw-in +1 guy I always like to play as Drupal Cabrera against righties. He hit a bomb yesterday, I believe. I like him, but as far as the game, I think it's pretty much a stay away for me.
Yeah,
Stanton,
and
too. I got to talk about Stanton, actually.
I was just
Opening day, he hit just an absolute moonshot off of a Max Scherzer. Yesterday, he hit another bomb. He looks completely dialed in. So I will definitely have Stanton in my +1 pool just because he looks really, really good right now.
Yeah, I like Stanton, and I also think Aaron Judge at 4,400 on DraftKings is a little too cheap, and I do like that price for him as well. But I agree, as a stack, I'm kind of not going to be super heavy on this team as a stack. Also, DJ LeMahieu did play yesterday, did not play opening day. Who? What about you with this game?
You gonna talk on mute
Kind
or?
kind of hard to hear what I'm saying when I'm muted, huh? Kind of agree as well. Like, it's going to be more one-off guys. Like, I do think, the Yankees might hit a couple home runs. No, I don't think they're going to score 10 runs here. So Stanton, I think, is a phenomenal one-off. Luke Voigt, I think, is a good one-off play. Judge, Torres, those are guys you can kind of sprinkle in as one-off plays, but not a stack situation for me. And then just looking at this Nationals lineup, we have so many teams in really good spots, strong lineups. There's not a lot of upside in this lineup. I mean, I like a guy like Thames for home run upside, but this is a weak lineup, like in terms of home runs and power. So, yeah, not much on the national side with so many good spots. I'll be fading them, and like I said, just more Yankees one-off power bats in tournaments.
All right, so next game, Miami versus Philadelphia. Tony, what are we thinking here? Do you like any of the bats?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's super annoying that we don't have, not that I even care what a Miami lineup looks like, but it is kind of annoying that we don't have a lineup and it's 11:15 and the game starts at 1.
Yeah,
But
Phillies just came out.
yeah, I mean, Philly came out with Miami, nothing. I wasn't going to play anything from Miami probably anyways. I mean, you could play a guy like Corey Dickerson or VR. You can always play VR, but probably no one there. And then so Philly, they got, like I said, they always have random dudes that pop up, especially on a Sunday. And you got this Hazley dude hitting in the one hole, 3,100. You can't ignore him against a righty. He's cheap, definitely in play. And then I go all the way down. So I know we'll talk about this every single show, but Philadelphia, if you like them, like you could play Jay Bruce in the 7-hole, lefty with some power. Neil Walker has always been better from hitting righties, left side of the plate. So you could play 7, 9, 1, 2, 3 type thing and be completely different with all the chalk on the slate. I'm not saying it's something that's going to be my favorite stack, but I do like that combo. Like, you get big time star power with Reese and Bryce Harper. You could even play a guy like Didi in the middle, but you got two unowned pieces that you can throw in the stack. Jay Bruce and Neil Walker. You can play the cheap one-hole hitter, but I wouldn't even mind fading like Hazley. Play the bottom with 3 studs like Reese, Harper, Didi. And you can get so different with a stack like this just because of the 7 and 9-hole hitters. It's what I love about baseball. Like, for a fact those guys are going to – Neil Walker will be 1% owned, and he has power. Like, he hits good from the left side of the plate. So I don't hate it.
Yeah. Also, too, White Sox lineup. It looks like we have a new lineup because their lineup came out a while, like 30 minutes ago, but now they just came out with an updated lineup. Nicky Delmonico's hitting in the 2-hole, which I think is one of the bigger changes.
Yeah,
from
Moncada's
what
not
they
in
had.
there anymore. That's a big downgrade.
Oh, and Moncada's not in there. That was the other change. So, that make sure you guys update your lineups from the old White Sox lineup. What about you with this game?
Yeah, I'm on the Phillies bets here. And when I go to bottom of lineups, it's typically in situations when I think the top's going to be popular. I just don't think the top of this lineup is going to be very popular with some of these other spots here today. So, my favorite way to stack this up is just going to be the natural way, the 1 through 5-ish type hitters.
Missionary style.
Missionary style. Yep. I mean, I just don't see this being a popular stack with, all the teams in really good spots. You got the Red Sox back, you got the weather game or the wind game, you got the Twins, you got the Astros. So I'm going to focus on the top of this lineup and all solid plays. And, you can add Hazley to the guys that are cheap bats in good spots here. We got a lot of them. We just said Delmonico. I mean, he's only 2.1K on DK as well. So there's going to be a lot of really cheap bats on today's slate. So, that kind of will increase the ownership of some of these top plays because it's just going to be very easy to build strong teams today. But yeah, for me, it's going to be the middle of this Phillies lineup, and just because I don't think they're going to be super popular.
God, it's gonna make this so much easier to play two of those 10K guys now. It's just making it so easy. But all right, let's move on. Detroit versus Cincinnati. Tony, what are we looking at here? I know there's a few cheapies for Cincinnati. I'm gonna like.
Yeah, so Cincinnati lost yesterday. Today they come back with Bauer. The only thing that I don't necessarily love as much as other people will is Turnbull is pretty good. I mean, he had some good starts last year. The Reds, I do like the lineup, but like Winker up in the one hole, I just wouldn't play Winker. I don't like him, and people love to play the one hole. It's one of the reasons I think you can get so different in baseball is like I would never play Winker with my red stack, and he's in the one hole, and he's just not good. Like I don't like Winker. Votto's showed some power out of the gate. Obviously Suarez, Castellanos, even Van Meter. I don't necessarily love. He gets pinch hit for. He's not great, but then you got Shogo, like you guys said, I think on the show or before the show we were talking about it, but 2K, and he's literally like one of their biggest prospects. They paid a ton of money to get him. He's just a stud, and at 2K in a good spot, I just don't really see a reason not to play him in outfield where you get 3 spots even. So he's a great play. And then I talked about it on the show yesterday with my boy Freddie Galvis. He's really good. I love him against righties. For some reason, no matter where this guy goes, he hits at the bottom of lineups and hits bombs. And he's always low owned. So I'm always going to play him. If I play a red stack, I'm always going to play Freddie Galvis against a righty. I don't like him as much against a lefty, but against a righty in the 8-hole, when I know for a fact he's going to be low owned, and he's a second base shortstop eligible to where you always struggle a little bit more with those type of positions. He's just always going to be in my stack, and I don't mind him as a +1. I mean, he's 3,300, super cheap, or even him and Shogo is like a little +2 stack. So I don't necessarily like the Reds as much as other people will, but I do really like Shogo and Freddie.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm kind of off the Reds today for, I guess, some of the reasons that Tony mentioned. Like, I don't love their lineup today. Winker leading off. He got pinch hit for yesterday, which obviously is a concern. You don't want to roster guys that have pinch hit risk, and right out of the gate he got pinch hit. So I'm probably off these guys. I mean, I think some of them are fine for like cash games. Like Joey Votto, I think is a fine cash game play. Shogo, you can put him on the list at 2K on Draftkings, but overall I'm going to be off the Reds. There's some really good spots here, and you have to make cuts, so they're going to be one of my cuts. I definitely prefer the Phillies guys over the Reds, so won't have too many red, or probably any red stacks today for that matter.
Okay, yeah. Shogo is definitely going to be someone on Draftkings. I'm going to play at 2K, but yeah, outside of that, I'm not going to be super heavy on red stacks. That's for sure. Moving on, we've got KC versus Cleveland. Tony, I know we talked about the pitchers here, but what about the hitters?
And Cleveland is, I can already tell they're going to be my nemesis team this year, where I just always feel like they're in a good spot and then they just never do anything. And I don't think I can take them today. I mean, I just look at their lineup, and I hate the bottom of the lineup. Like, I like Santana against lefties. The below him is awful. You could always play Jose Ramirez and Lindor, literally any slate. I mean, they're studs. But this slate is massive. I love the Wrigley game, which we'll get to. I'm not going to force in stud plays just because they're good. I mean, I don't really want to play these dudes as a +1. Unless, I mean, if you get to your last lineup spot and like Lindor fits or something as your +1, sure. I mean, you can play Lindor and Jose Ramirez any slate. But for the most part, I'll be fading this game completely.
All right, Hoop, do you agree or do you have a different take?
Man, hate to once again agree with Tony, but I won't really be on the Indians. And it's for the reason he said. I just don't love their lineup. Like, I just don't see the upside. Like, Ramirez absolutely smashed 2 seasons ago, kind of fell off a little bit last year. I mean, he was probably one of the best hitters in baseball 2 seasons ago. Last year, we didn't see that. Guy I like for cash games, Cesar Hernandez batting leadoff. He can do a lot of different things. He has a little bit of power. He'll steal some bases, switch hitter. So I like him for cash games. And like Lindor, I think is a good, one-off tournament play, but I'm not going to be stacking the Indians. Don't really love their lineup. Definitely don't like the bottom of their lineup. Carlos Santana batting cleanup, not very high on him. So it would just be, Ramirez, Lindor as one-offs. And then, Cesar Hernandez, I think, is a fine cash game play. Decent price, or really good price, actually, all around the industry. So that's about it. And obviously no Royals for me here.
Yeah, no Royals and no Cleveland for me either. So I'm on the same boat as you guys. Toronto, Tampa, next game. Tony, what are we looking at here?
So I can't figure out why. Like, I've heard all kinds of chatter about Tampa today, and I don't really get it. Like, I look at the lineup, and I just don't see it. Like, you got guys I like. Like, I like Renfroe against lefties. I don't know, though. Like, the park sucks. The lineup kind of sucks. I just don't see it. Like, the slate is so good for offense. I don't really understand why people like Tampa. I'm definitely not playing anyone against Tampa's pitching. I mean, Tampa has really good pitching, good bullpen. You never know what they're going to do. I just don't – like, I don't see any reason to play anyone in this game. Like, anybody.
All right, stay away for you in this game. Hoop, what about you? Are you going to disagree for once?
He's definitely not going to disagree here.
Yeah, it's too easy right now to disagree with Tony. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's going to have some brutally awful takes here coming up soon, and I will be disagreeing with him. But this one is not the case. Like, just to add on to what he said, I mean, obviously I agree with everything he said there, but just to add on, it sounds like it's going to be a bullpen game for the Blue Jays, and I just honestly hate stacking up against bullpen games. Like, you think, all right, well, yeah, the offense is going to be going against, these bullpen pitchers. They should have their way with the bullpen pitchers. Bullpen pitchers, obviously not as good as starting pitchers, but it's like never the case. I swear, whenever it's a bullpen game, like the opposing offense typically gets shut down, and there's going to be a lot of matchup based changes for the Blue Jays. So I'm off the Rays, and like the price is not great on anyone. Like they're kind of priced up in comparison to some of these other lineups. So definitely off the Rays and no Blue Jays for me.
All right. Again, have to agree. Now we get to probably one of the chalkier teams on the slate, or the chalkiest team on the slate. The Red Sox.
Shoot, before you get to it, we gotta talk about how we got 300 people watching and only 86 likes. I mean, we got to give out some gear here, like a T-shirt. We're for sure going to give out
any gear if we're only getting 86 likes and 300. Yeah. What do we got? 306 right now watching. 306 right now watching. My guy, where is he? Logan Brock in the chat. He said this in the chat. 295 people with 82 likes. Big oof, guys. Come on.
We got to get to 200 for gear.
We got thumbs up.
No, we'll give 150. We'll give you the Run Pure Sports. At 200, we'll give you the Run Pure Bets. And this stuff's the good poly. Like, you can't see it. This is the good poly here. There's no cotton. Feels good on you. I might even get Jay to get some sports keg gear going out too. We might just give it all out.
Let me tell you guys, when it comes to gear and apparel, like Big T is not is not going on the budget side of things. We basically needed to we had to rob a bank to get this stuff. So make sure you get those likes so we can put it to good use. Big T did not go for the bag quality shirts. I can guarantee you that.
Oh, they're comfy.
Oh boy, this is very true.
I gotta get your guys sent out
Do
this
we get
week
a hat
too.
in this package too? Where's the hats?
Yeah, we got the
Show 'em
hats
off.
too, ready to go
Yeah.
out. Little
Big
snap
That's the
bags.
good
hoarding.
stuff.
He's hoarding all the apparel. So
You guys are getting yours this week too. I mean, I'm gonna go and ship it all out. So whoever gets
Finally.
whoever wins this today is gonna get it early in the week because I'm going to ship it all out.
oh, we do have to.
Yeah,
give
so you're
Big
going to
T a
get it
little-
pretty
a little-
much when we all get it, besides Sony.
Oh, I feel
He
and
doesn't
Uncle
even
T
send us
got his
anything.
shirt because he ate lunch with me the one day.
Well, that's because Uncle T lives like 15 minutes away from you, so it's easy for him. He can just go over to your house.
We did forget to congratulate Tony on the MMA takedown last night. Big winner.
Yes.
Optimal lineup, right?
Yeah, it was the optimal. I mean, it was a big chop, but I mean, when you've lost MMA for 2 straight months, it felt like it was like a 6-figure hit to me. It felt good.
It was a
Oh,
tough
yeah, it
sport,
definitely
man.
felt good. Tony was talking about it in Discord. Like before we're doing even one, he was
No,
like,
that was before
he
I didn't
wins,
realize how
I'm
big
gonna-
of a chop it would be, though. Like I thought,
Yes,
I knew
yeah.
if he won, I was going to have the nuts, but I didn't realize it was going to be a 100-way chop. I was a little more excited before I saw the chop.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. MMA
He did
was
tap him though.
definitely
By the
good
way,
for
he
us.
got that dude on the ground and he got his arm and he got him tapped. And Verdum was the man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely in better shape coming into that fight than he was the last
Oh,
time
yeah.
he fought, where he got absolutely destroyed. So that definitely helped keep his ownership a little bit down. But he was so cheap. Good call with him there. But let's kind of get back to this Baltimore versus Boston. Hoop, I'm going to start with you here. You know, you're the cash guy. What are you doing? I mean, I'm assuming you're going to play some Boston bats in cash, but in tournaments, are you still going to be heavy on these Boston guys, or are you going to kind of try and fade them for someone else?
Yeah, I'm going to be back on Boston here. I mean, the matchup is obviously a good one. The total is nice. The team total is nice. I mean, the main thing about the Orioles, though, is like their bullpen is so terrible. So if you can get to that bullpen, like you have a nice solid path to, add on a bunch of runs. And I like the lineup they put out here. I mean, you get Peraza betting first. He's cheap. And then you get Pilar batting fifth. He's still relatively cheap. So it's, the core pieces of this lineup are not very expensive. Obviously, yes, JD Martinez is expensive. Bogart's expensive. But I like this thing top to bottom for the most part. You have some upside towards the bottom of the lineup as well, and I'm sure Tony will be touching on that when it's his turn to talk. But I'm going to be back on Boston. I don't think they'll be as popular as they were yesterday. We have a lot of really good spots that we're about to talk about, so not really worried about ownership. But yeah, I'll definitely be back on the Red Sox here today.
Yeah, one guy you didn't mention, Devers, I don't think. Do you like him at all today?
I mean, if I'm playing a stack, yeah. I mean, not like a main focal point. I'm more excited about the cheaper guys like Peraza and Pilar.
Okay, because he's very expensive. He's 5,200 on DraftKings. He's the highest priced third baseman. And it is a lefty-lefty matchup, but maybe that keeps his ownership down. And you talked about it, that you think they might be a little lower owned because of maybe yesterday. And people have recency bias. Like the first day I was on Baltimore and they came out and laid an egg and they were awful. I thought that was a sneaky stack. It was wrong. But yesterday I went right back to Baltimore and I played a bunch of those guys and it kind of worked out for me. Luckily I had, some of the right Baltimore guys, obviously, but it just goes to the fact that like baseball is it's so fluid and you can't get stuck too much on what teams did the day before. It's a new day. So especially with those cheap stacks, when you get like cheap stacks like that, I mean, they're not going to go off all the time, especially a bad team like Baltimore, but they're gonna get their spots where they go off. So I mean, I don't like jumping off the ship too early with certain, especially the cheaper stacks. But Tony, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, I like both sides. Even Baltimore's got a pretty big total going against bad pitchers. I like both sides, but definitely Boston. And I mean, I know I always talk about it, but you see a lefty starting, literally no one is going to play Vertigo and Jackie Bradley. They have almost a 7-run total. The dude is not going to go 9 innings or something, so you're going to get in the bullpen. It's not even like it's going to be lefty-lefty for the whole game. And, I mean, literally no one. You're going to get a team with a 7-run total and get guys 2% owned, and it just will never make sense to me in baseball. It just won't. It won't make sense to me why people won't do it. But I'm glad because we can get some profit because of it. And obviously, yeah, I mean, Peraza in the 1 hole is just a total slam dunk. I think he's going to have a big year. He's super cheap. I'll eat that chalk knowing that I can play 7, 8, 9. I mean, it's just such an easy stack where you could go 7, 8, 9, 1, 2. So you got chalk JD, chalk Peraza, probably even chalk Chavis, but then you got unowned Vertigo and unowned Bradley, where you have a full stack in order, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2 again, massive total, but you got a little bit uniqueness to it by playing Vertigo and Jackie Bradley. So that's the type of thing I like to do. And like I talked a little yesterday, I mean, Austin Hayes in the 1 hole the other way. Santander's always been solid. Ruiz in the 4 hole. I mean, you got a bunch of dudes. Chris Davis has looked better. I think this could be a game stack even, honestly. I think this game could get a little crazy, but definitely the Boston side. I mean, behind Wrigley, they're definitely my next favorite. And I like that 7, 8, 9, 1, 2 look. I could fade Devers. I could fade Bogarts. I definitely don't need Pilar, Vasquez. I mean, you can use these guys for sure, like we always talk about. I'm not saying to fade them if you want to play them, but I'd rather go 7, 8, 9, 1, 2 if I'm going to do it.
Tony, who's hitting in the 7 hole for Boston?
Vertigo.
Verdugo.
Don't be making fun of how I pronounce names because you mispronounce every single name on the whole.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. And you know what? You know what's the worst? MMA. MMA is the worst.
I don't even attempt it.
Throw it out the window with MMA.
How do you pronounce it then?
Pronounce names. Verdugo, I'm pretty sure is the correct pronunciation, but I could be somewhat
Sounds
wrong.
a lot better. Oops.
I was saying Vertigo too. So Verdugo has to be it.
I think for once I'm on the right side of this name. Yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm not normally on the right side. Tony's right. I'm terrible with names, but Verdugo, I'm pretty sure is the correct pronunciation. Yeah. So who? Let's get to you. Tony talked about. Do you agree with Tony that for tournaments, it is the better idea to kind of go with this almost like a wraparound stack where you take like the 7, 8, 9, bring it back maybe to the 1, 2, something like that? Or do you still like the 1 through 5 or something in that range?
Yeah, I mean, I always look to the bottom when I think the top's going to be popular, and I think the top is going to be pretty popular. I do disagree, though. I mean, I don't think Chavis is going to have any ownership. Tony mentioned he thought he might be chalky. Like, there's no way he's anywhere close to owned. So, Vasquez, Verdugo, Chavis, Bradley, I have a ton of interest. And like Tony said, like those lefty guys are going to be like unowned, and there's upside. It's not like you're just taking some crappy, shitty hitter at the bottom of the order. Like, there's upside with those guys. They're going to get to the bullpen, so they'll have the opportunity to face some right-handed pitching as well. So really like that. I mean, you can play this whole lineup. Like, there's upside with all these guys. So love that call. And getting unique is easy. Just go to the bottom here, but you don't have to. I mean, you can still obviously play guys like JD and Devers and Bogarts, Peraza, but good team overall here to attack.
Well, one guy that's not in the lineup that I'm very happy about is Benintendi, because thank God I don't have to play him again. He is.
I wish he was there. I'm the opposite of you guys. Like, I like when they keep putting him in there because then people just keep playing him, and I just won't play him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just glad that he's not, because he's looked terrible. I mean, he's just looked so bad, but. I mean, I agree. The lefties are definitely going to be unowned. So the next spot we got Minnesota versus the White Sox. White Sox kind of popped off yesterday. Tony, what are you thinking here? Do you like Minnesota or the White Sox at all?
Yeah, so Minnesota is going to be a team that I pretty much play every single day. I like how much power they have. I just feel like they go off a ton. And the White Sox, for that matter, I usually will, but when you get Moncada out of the lineup and replace him with Delmonico, you got some scrubs at the bottom of the lineup like this Mendick dude or whoever that dude is. I just don't – I feel like this line's going to move a little bit too. Like Minnesota was a slight favorite. I think it's going to go up. I just feel like this lineup's garbage. Kenton Maeda has been decent for the Dodgers. I assume he'll be decent here. So I'm definitely going to fade the White Sox. And I'll have a little Minnesota. I definitely would rank them behind a few of the other stacks. But like I said, I'm always going to play a little Minnesota because they just show upside. They'll just hit bombs. And you got Kepler up in the one hole. I mean, how many times have we seen him hit double dongs? Nelly Cruz always. Polanco solid, Donaldson solid, Rosario solid. I like the lineup. I like the upside. I don't love the bottom of the lineup, but I could do it just to be different. Like Hoop said, though, he brought up a good point. Like sometimes if the team's not going to be crazy high owned anyways, you don't need to go to the bottom. Just play the good guys at the top. And I clearly like 1 through 6 way better than 7, 8, 9.
Yeah. So what are you thinking with this team? Do you like the White Sox or Minnesota? I know Tony liked Minnesota a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly agree with everything Tony said there. Like, I'm not really on the White Sox a ton here. Maeda is good enough. Like, he's the type of pitcher that could go out and shut down just about any team when his stuff is on. Like, he also has the ability to kind of get rocked around a little bit too. But don't really love the White Sox lineup today. The bottom of that lineup looks pretty damn weak. So won't be on the White Sox today, but like we talked about yesterday, Twins are going to be a team that you're probably going to want to consider almost on a nightly or daily basis. I mean, they just have a strong lineup. Today it's a little weaker, like Tony said at the bottom. Like I would never play any of those guys down there, but 1 through 6 clearly all in play and all have a decent bit of upside. So like the Twins here, agree with what Tony said. They're not at the top of my list, but I'll definitely have some exposure when building multiple teams.
All right. Seattle, Houston, next game. Houston, I know another team. It's going to be a very popular team to stack if you have cheap guys to go with them because a lot of these guys are expensive when you talk about Springer and Bregman and Altuve and all these guys that they have. What are we thinking here with this game? Tony, any interest in Seattle or are you just kind of off Seattle? And what about Houston?
Yeah, Seattle just keeps throwing these teams out. Like, I don't even know who these dudes are. Like, this dude in the 6-hole, Jose Marmelos. I mean, talk about pronouncing names. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea who this dude is. That they got a bunch of prospects. I mean, I see no reason. There's so much offense on this slate. I just see literally no reason to play a team like Seattle at all, even as +1 guys against Greinke. Greinke's good enough. There's just no reason to do it. In Houston, like they're going to be in play. Another team that just every single day has to be on your list. And I don't love 7, 8, 9. I don't know who Taylor Jones is, but he's only 2K on Draftkings, which makes him interesting. And these guys at the bottom are super cheap too. But if I was going to play Houston, I would just play the 1 through 6. I don't think I would play the bottom guys. But again, I like Wrigley so much. I like Boston. I like a few of these other spots to where I just don't think I'm going to play Houston. And these guys are always good, though. I mean, how can you argue with playing Springer, Altuve, Bregman, Correa, Gurriel? I mean, all these guys are so solid. I just think I like Wrigley more, so I'm going to go with that over Houston. But I wouldn't blame you for playing them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like Wrigley more too. But again, Kikuchi has given up the long ball a bunch, so I could see a few of these guys, get hitting homers against them. So
yeah.
I think it's a spot where if you're not going to stack them, maybe it's a spot where you take 1 or 2 of your favorite guys that you like. But what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, there's upside with all those, right-handed bats, Springer, Altuve, Bregman, Gurriel, Correa. I'll definitely have them stacked. I mean, if you're building 20 teams, I mean, you definitely want a few, at least a couple Astro stacks, and then they're fine one-off plays. I mean, all those guys have some big monster upside. So I like stacking them up. I like them as one-offs. I mean, it's kind of like the Twins. I mean, most nights or days, you're going to be considering this lineup in tournaments and even in cash games. It's just such a strong lineup. And some big time power bats. So definitely like the Astros, tournaments, cash games, one-offs, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, love it. All right. Next game we got is Pittsburgh versus St. Louis. Tony, what are you thinking here? You like the Keller? Do you like any of the bats for Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I'm looking at the lineup. I mean, Dakota Hudson was decent enough. I don't think he's going to go super deep, but this lineup, it's another case of there's just so many good offenses on this slate that I'm just not going to force it. I mean, I just said I wasn't going to play Houston because I like other stacks. So if I'm not playing Houston, I'm definitely not going to play one of these guys. And the good thing about this slate is we have a few cheap pieces that you can throw in there to make any stack work for the most part. I mean, when you got 2K guys on the slate, you can make any stack work. So there's no reason to really play a team like Pittsburgh for me. And then St. Louis, I'm just not going to play him. I like Keller. I'm going to have a decent amount of Keller. And there's just, again, there's no reason to force it when you have other stacks that you like a lot. So it's going to be a fade for me, and I'm going to play some Keller.
All right, fade for you. Hoop, are you on the same train with the fade, or you got a different take?
Yeah, I'm fading. I mean, there's about 6, 7, maybe 8 better spots. And, when you're talking about 8, 7 really good stacks, they're not all going to be popular. So you just don't have to force it, like Tony said, with the Cardinals. Not a great hitting environment here. So I'll also be fading the Cardinals. The game's kind of a cross-off game for me. I don't have any interest at all in any sort of format here.
All right, let's get to the next game, which is my personal favorite, and it seems like you guys like this game as well. The Wrigley game with Milwaukee versus the Cubs. Tony, which side? I'm assuming you like both sides a little bit. Is there a heavier lean to one side, or do you only like one side?
Yeah, so I mean, this is just the type of game that I just like to just jam both sides and just fully stack it. Just see how it shakes out. I mean, maybe you go 5-3 one way, maybe you go 5-3 the other way, 4-4. I really don't care all that much about it. I would throw a few guys out. Like if I'm game stacking, I just don't want to get caught with a few pieces that I don't want. Like Ben Gamel for Milwaukee. I always talk about bottom of the lineup guys, and I'm good with it. But sometimes you just get a feel for guys, and like I just don't like that guy. He'll probably be the one that ends up beating me today. But I'll throw some dudes out if I just don't like them. I mean, because I look at the rest of the lineup, and I like all of them. I'd be happy with the rest of them. I mean, you got 2 first basemen, which gives us some leverage on DK. On FanDuel, you could play them both, obviously, still. But so everyone saw Smoke hit a bomb. They see him in the 4-hole. Morrison, I haven't followed Milwaukee super close, but I don't think he's played. Maybe he has. Maybe someone will say I'm wrong. But either way, he's in the 5-hole. He's going to be lower owned than Smoke, and he's always hit for power against righties. So I like him a little more than Smoke even. It reminds me a little of Smoke and Kendrys Morales in Toronto, where
Yeah.
for the longest time, everyone would play Morales every single time just because he was in the 4 spot and Smoke was in the 5 spot. And then it kind of flip-flopped as Smoke got good. But people always just play that 4 over the 5. And it's another thing in baseball that just doesn't make sense to me because I think they're both really good plays. And then on Chicago's side, I mean, yeah, the whole lineup is good. I mean, Caratini on DraftKings, I always make sure not to play like a catcher in the first baseman spot where he's eligible at first too. Like I would make sure he's only as a catcher. Even if I was playing it with Contreras, I still don't think I'd play Caratini in the first base spot. But everyone's in play. If I had to pick a side, I actually think I like Milwaukee more just because I really like the power of Yelich, Hura, Smoke, Morrison, those guys. And I think the Cubs will be a little more popular, even though it might not be a ton. I do think there's going to be a bunch of runs in this game. Bad pitchers, wind blowing out, humid weather. I think it's a really good spot, and I plan to stack it a bunch of different ways.
Yep, I'm in total agreement with you. What about you? Are you pretty much in agreement with us that this game you're going to play it both ways, or do you like one side more?
Yeah, I mean, if you're new to MLB DFS, when the wind's blowing out in Wrigley Field and it's hot and humid, you want a lot of exposure and 2 really bad pitchers as well. you want exposure. So this is a spot to definitely get overexposed to. And like you guys said, you can kind of stack it up a bunch of different ways. There's, leverage situations like Tony touched on with Morrison over Smoke. Smoke's going to be much higher owned. He's an everyday player. Morrison's making his first, appearance in the lineup here. His ownership's going to be much lower than Smoke's. Yelich. I mean, so many. The one thing I will say when you're looking at, stacking this game, you more so obviously want to focus on the guys with power, like Tony said, like Ben Gamble at the bottom, Arcia, like those guys are not the ones you really want to focus on. You want the ones that can hit the bombs. And, we kind of touched on who those guys are. So really good game, obviously, to attack in all formats today.
Yep. Love it. All right. So let's get to the final game on the DK slate, which is the Colorado versus Texas. And we talked about pitchers in this game. So, Tony, I would assume that you're not very high on the hitters because you did talk about both pitchers.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep kind of pounding on that until I get proven differently, and I don't see that happening as far as this stadium, and I just don't like the Texas offense, so it makes it easy. I think it's a better pitcher's park. Don't like the offense. I think both pitchers are going to be in my player pool. Super easy fade for me offensive wise. I mean, I feel like I keep saying it on the games I don't like, but I just don't see a reason to play bats in this game. And guys like Blackman and Story and Arenado, while maybe not super high owned, they always get some ownership. So all the people that like to sprinkle every guy, like 10% of this in case it hits and that, like if you just run the optimizer, all these guys will randomly hit here and there. So I just think you eliminate it. And while it's a small edge, I still think it's an edge over the long run just to fade these guys. And other people play them and play too many teams and too many combos, and we just jam the stacks we like. Over the course of the season, I think we make more money than we would sprinkling all the different teams and guys.
Yeah, just say yes if you agree with everything that Tony said. And
I mean, when's he going to disagree? He agrees with everything I say. That's how it should be.
It's a rare day. Something crazy is going to happen today.
Who's going to win $1 million today? What's going to happen in this freaking golf?
We'll see. But I did disagree on the Chavis.
That's going to happen.
On the what?
Chavis. He said he was going to be popular. He's not going to be popular.
I think he'll be popular.
So you
by popular, I think
he'll
be like
one player in this entire show.
It's a rare. I'm telling you, something crazy is going to happen.
The one player he disagreed on me is 2,900 Chavis on a 7-run stack.
That's what I'm saying. Something crazy is bound to happen today. There's just is it a full moon out there? I mean, it's just that doesn't add up. Me and Tony do not agree on many things, and he should actually, if he's on all my takes today, he might actually have a chance of making some money. Should be a good
there
day
we
for
go.
him.
All his takes. I love it.
We need to get 31 more likes to get Dunkel to send out this Run Pure Bets shirt.
Yeah.
Well,
if
we get 31 more likes, then I'll make sure that we pick a few people from this chat.
I mean, we're still on. We're at 380 watching, and we only got 170 likes. Click that like button, people, for the free show.
Yeah, it really helps us out too. Keep bringing you guys free shows too. So
yes,
make sure to hit that like button. But guys, there's two games that we didn't touch on that FanDuel has, and I don't want to get into it too much. I just want to know with those two games, I'm pretty sure it's Oakland versus the Angels and it's the Padres versus the Diamondbacks. Is there anything specifically to FanDuel, because this is not on the main slate for DK, is there anything you like from either of those games? You can just do you like a stack from either of those teams or a pitcher that's going? Tony, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so I'm playing FanDuel a decent amount today. I've looked at it. I just don't – sometimes I like the leverage of playing these late guys just because no one's going to play them. They're going to be unowned. But like we've talked about, the slate is so good for offense that I'm definitely not going to play any of these offenses. I mean, all super low run totals. The pitchers, I think they're all somewhat playable just because the totals are low. But again, on FanDuel, you're only playing one pitcher. And I really like Bauer and a few of these other guys to where I definitely think you could play a guy like Ohtani. You could play Zach Gallen. I like these guys. I do. So I don't want it to sound like I don't. But you don't need the salary. So you're only playing one pitcher. I can play Trevor Bauer for 9,700 with all the strikeout upside against Detroit. Sure, he's going to be chalky, but I don't mind eating chalk because I'm going to play some low-owned bats. On FanDuel specifically, I'm more than likely just going to lock Trevor Bauer in to all my teams and just try to get different in other areas because I just think he's super safe and I think he's got upside. So I like to do that a lot on FanDuel. Just lock in the pitching points, lock in the upside, and really it narrows your field down a lot. Helps to where because when you don't do that and you like play 4 or 5 pitchers, maybe you hit a good stack, but somehow or another, like there's nothing that gets more tilting. You have a great offense and you love Bauer and you get to your best team, and somehow it's got whoever, Zach Greinke or something instead of Bauer, and you're like, I love Bauer. How is he not on this team? Like that's tilting. And sure, if he gets blown up, you lose that day, but I'm more than likely just going to lock Trevor Bauer on FanDuel.
All right. Any, takes from you on these two games, pitchers, stacks, anyone you like?
Yeah, I'm glad these are the 4 p.m. games because there's probably a decent chance we don't have the lineups and literally have no interest whatsoever. Pitchers, hitters, it's 2 good games to fade. Obviously, yeah, if you're playing tournaments, like these are the spots we kind of live for. We might not get the lineup. They're going to be super low owned, but man, like with these 2 games, I'm just not seeing it. I'm going to focus on these good offenses and the solid pitching that we've already talked about. I mean, it's very, very clear that the pitching route today for me at least. So it's 2 games I'm definitely going to be completely off.
And, for me, I'm not going to give away too much because I do talk about these 2 games a little in my strategy piece for FanDuel for tournaments specifically. But I will just say what Hoop said about these 2 games are going to be unowned, in my opinion. I think these 2 games are just because a lot of people are playing both DK and FanDuel. And so I think people are just going to kind of skip over these 2 games on FanDuel. And so honestly, if you want really low ownership, I think you could go to specifically. There's 2 spots where I'm thinking you could go to, but I will give you guys one guy. I think Christian Walker is a sleeper, 2,700. I think on FanDuel. If he's in the lineup, we don't have a lineup yet, but I do really like him today. Richard struggles with right-handed power, and Walker is a guy with a ton of power, and he's cheap on FanDuel. So again, I do like Walker a lot. But let's bring it over to the stacks, guys, our favorite stacks. And Hoop, I'm going to start with you so we can see if Tony steals your favorite stack. Who is your overall favorite stack? And then give me 1 or 2, like maybe lower owned stacks that you're high on.
So the Wrigley game is going to be my favorite. Obviously, the Cubs and the Brewers. I'll say the Cubs first, then the Brewers, and that total has come up a little bit more since the show has gone on. After those, I'm going to be on the Phillies. They just Urena tested positive for Corona and will no longer be starting, so they put in Robert Duggar.
Hacksaw Jim Duggar.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan's in there. So I'm going to be on the Phillies. I like the Phillies. I liked them, before that pitching change. I like them even more now.
All right. Tony, what about you?
Yeah, so I mean, like Hoop said, the Wrigley is for sure going to be my focus. I mean, I'm going to try to get as many game stacks as I can in there. And after that, I mean, I obviously like Boston. I like to focus on that too, kind of how I talked about 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, not the standard stack for Boston. And besides that, like I just don't. It's going to be a boring day for me. Like I'm going to stack a lot of that chalky stuff with Wrigley and Boston, but I'm going to try to get different with the way I stack it. And then I'm going to lock in the pitchers. I really don't see much else. I'm going to focus. Minnesota, I forgot about Minnesota. I'm definitely going to play a little bit of Minnesota, but I don't see any other stacks that I'm going to play besides those chalky ones.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you guys that the Milwaukee and Cubs game stack is probably my favorite. I do think that the Phillies are interesting, and the Twins are interesting as well. So I'll go with you guys on that. So let's get to the final part, home run calls. Guys, I want your favorite overall guy who you think is going to hit a home run today, and someone maybe, under the radar that you like sneaky to hit a home run today, low owned. So Tony, we'll start with you for this one. Who you liking?
So up top, I will go with, man, I'll take Christian Yelich in that game. I mean, he's the best player in the game, maybe the best player in baseball, win game. I got to have some exposure to him, so I'll take him in the mid range or cheaper range. Give me Logan Morrison. We talked about the value with him. I'll stick with the Milwaukee stack, and he's super cheap. I don't think he'll be high owned because of Smoke being cheap. And then my cheap one, give me the Reds dude, Shogo, 2K. He should help your lineups a ton on Draftkings. I like old Shogo to go yard at 2K.
All right. What about you?
My big name guy would be Javier Baez. I just feel like anytime there's win games, he hits bombs. I don't know if I don't have numbers to back it up, but I just have it in my head like win games and him hitting bombs. So I'm gonna go with him. Then a cheaper, lower owned guy. Going back to my Phillies with Jay Bruce in the 7 hole. I like him to hit a bomb today and get things going there.
I like it. I love the bias call. I'm gonna go with Chris Bryant in that same game though. I do like him a lot leading off. I think he goes yard today. And then I already gave it to you. I think Christian Walker, cheap guy for the Diamondbacks, I think he goes yard today. I like him a lot today as well. So those will be my two guys. Boys, so we made it, just over an hour. We have 193 likes. We need 7 more likes to get to that 200. And Tony, what will happen when we get to that 200?
Yeah, well, we're already going to give out the shirt, the Run Pure Bets. Where's it at? We're already giving out the Run Pure Bets shirt. I can never tell if you can even see it with the backdrop, but can you see this? Run Pure Sports.
That's better right there.
Solid poly, and the hat for what? And the snapback. And then if we get to 200, which we just got over 200, we're going to give out the Run Pure Bets too. Dunkel's going to send it out. So we'll have two. We'll do 2 winners here. Let's scroll up just like we did. You can do it today, JS. You just randomly scroll up through the chat. Don't look. Wherever your cursor ends is the winner.
Can I get my double-sided workbench guy a shirt? I mean, loyal listener.
Tony, you said 2 winners. We just got 2. We got over 200 likes. We're giving 3 winners today. That's what we're doing today. We don't. We're not. We'll cheap
all
here,
scroll up and pick one. Everybody scroll up.
All right, that's a good idea. I'm gonna go first.
All right. Hoop's not allowed to pick the double workbench guy.
I don't know. Is this the double workbench? I fell on Steve Anthony. So Steve Anthony, send your, if you're in the Discord, send your info to Tony. Tony will make sure he gets your address and ships you out a shirt and whatever else. If you're not in Discord, hit him up on Twitter. What is it, at Big T 44?
I'm going to send it all out early this week too. So everybody that wants it this week, you can get at me.
There you go.
Who you got?
All right, I'll go. Ready? Oh,
Do you remember the workbench guy's name?
No, I landed on Andrew Peterson. He's not winning.
Yeah, he's not winning.
No.
I got Robert Gall. So Robert Gall, go ahead and send Big T a message.
Last one who I'm getting, this is going to be the Run Pure Bets one. So you're going to have to send your info to Sports with Facts on Twitter. Uncle Dunkel. Send him the info. We'll get you the bets one. I'm scrolling up right now. We're going to give it to, Minnesota Maniac, saying Arias from the Twins is the best hitter in the league. He's going to win us a bets t-shirt. Minnesota Maniac.
There it is. I like it. All right. The 3 winners. Make sure you hit up Tony, whether it's in Discord or on Twitter. Just send him your address and all your information, and he will make sure to get back to you guys. But I think that's going to do it, boys. Great show today. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure you get over to Run Pure Sports right now. Promo code Join the Movement. Check us out over there. All our information, hoops, cash cores, mine, Tony, AP, the rest of the crews, GPP takes. So make sure you get over there. And then Run Pure Bets. It's live. So get over there as well. Give those guys some love. And they're giving out free bets. They're giving out free bets until I think it's August 1st. So we still got a few more days of
even
free
after
bets.
that, it's only going to be $20 a week and 60 for the month, whatever it is. So I mean, it's going to be cheap winners. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, so make sure you give those guys a follow, whether it's on Twitter, and get over to the Run Pure Bet site. But for me, JSU, Big T, Hoop, we're out of here.